Good afternoon. Today's topic is about the vandalism on speed cameras, red light cameras that uh, capture people running through red lights or speeding, one or the other. They're out there to protect the public. Apparently, there's members of our public that feel that they're intrusive and they've been vandalizing them. The latest series of vandalisms have taken place in Toronto, where one particular camera has been cut down 7 times.
Wow. Seven
So the
times.
Yeah, so the issue now, of course, gets kicked up to Rob Ford, and Rob Ford will say anything to sound like he's the people's, premier. He's
Hero.
tried, he's tried dollar beer. He's tried,
Where's
you
my
name it.
beer? I want my beer, damn it.
He, he,
For
he's
a
he's
buck.
taken he's taken the beer and put it in grocery stores. He'll try anything
Yes.
to distract from what his policies aren't doing. But anyways, the this is located in Parkside Drive in Toronto. Apparently, it's been cut down 7 times. They've got
Oh,
pictures of two characters with a step ladder up next to the post sawing the camera off. Now, you got to wonder what they're thinking to do something like that. People at traffic's driving by all the time. You're bound to get caught, you would think. The other side of this coin, of course, is people I know that are in management, municipal management, they would have had a camera on the camera the second time
yeah,
it was cut
exactly.
down, and had these people under arrest. But you charge them with vandalism. What is that going to cost them? Less than the
Yeah.
camera. But
Yeah. It.
in one day, a whole whack of them were vandalized across the city. So
Well, you can understand the anger, and this is goes back to the the law. You're taking away my right to defend myself because I don't know when I violated your camera. So I can't, if I
you
got a
drove through a
dash
red
cam.
light. yeah,
Well,
yeah. Well, how do
but
you
it's
defend
speeding
yourself
too.
against that?
It's a speeding camera
Of
too.
course it
Photo
is.
radar
Of
issue as
course it
well.
is. Yeah.
So what happens is under the Charter of Rights, I have the right to defend myself. And that becomes an issue for me. I get upset. Yeah, I know. I got a few of them too. And I get upset because sometimes there used to be a law when I started driving that you stayed with the flow of traffic, which made common sense because you can't always watch your odometer. And the fact that you can't watch your odometer, you want to be not a problem in traffic. So traffic flow is one way of dealing with that. And then they changed the laws a lot so that you can't go with the flow of traffic because it was the old lead car was the rabbit and everybody dropped in behind them. So they tried to change the law that you can't go with the flow of traffic.
Corey,
But
you're
what
talking
happened?
about driving in a cow pasture on a farm.
Well,
First, first, first,
like,
your
hey,
first assumption was that there's common sense, and
well, that's
and
true.
and common sense isn't common. Like you can't believe the maniacs in Toronto and the way they drive. It's astounding. That
Well, my whole
you know,
driving record, I've never caused an accident in my whole driving record.
no, but
And
that's okay. But
that, and I don't even get a break on insurance for that because they don't recognize it. They always want to jack it up, but they never want to realize that some of us just don't cause accidents. So
Friday
there's
night,
a
Friday
issue.
night, I spent 4 hours stuck on the 401 because some jackass cut off a transport truck. and
And
and fortunately nobody was seriously hurt.
yeah,
No,
but
the
that's
common
that's the rules of the road. But because the population has increased since when I first got my driver's license, the congestion on the roads has increased. And that becomes a problem. And I understand the regulations and the need for these. But the real question is photo radar a cash cow? And I say yes, but it is a necessary cash cow in certain components. But they could achieve the same thing by hiring people to actually be on the road, manning the camera themselves, and issuing tickets and warnings to people causing problems on the road. And that's how you deal with safety issues, not a hidden camera that's just a cash cow.
It's
So
not a hidden camera. They have signs up
I
that
know,
say
but
there's a
there's so many.
camera. Yeah,
Well, then we go back to the distracted driver laws. There's so many billboards, signs, road signs, flashing lights, that it overwhelms the driver. So the chances of you having the time to look at your odometer to see what you're doing are slim to none. And where the positioning of the sun is becomes important. Sometimes you just don't see the lights if you're not
after
familiar with the roads.
well, I now
So
know where this
yeah,
camera is,
yeah.
and
Well,
and and
are you going
the
to
point.
fight it? Is the question.
Of
I
course not.
mean,
It, I
I
did it.
fight them all the time because you don't know how the sensors are working. They're under asphalt, and the temperature of the asphalt affects the ability of the triggering of the mechanism to take the camera. So
Sure it does.
we can get into some technicality
Sure,
there.
sure
I
it
just
does.
hate them.
Sure it does. But
Yeah, well,
bullshit is what I'm saying. That and you have to
no, there's legitimacy to that. They don't always calibrate their cameras, and that
well
becomes an issue. And not all vehicles have the same signature in a laser or a radar field as other vehicles. Square vehicles register different than aerodynamic vehicles. So it becomes a question of science and technology, whether it's as accurate as they claim. And when you're talking 1 kilometer an hour makes a difference of $50 or $100 on your ticket, it becomes, an issue. But I think it's more, to me, it's if you're going with the flow of traffic and accidentally go faster than you're supposed to, that's a safety issue. I'm safer driving with the flow of traffic than being a hazard on the road going too slow.
you're safer not to be on the road at all.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
but
with these distracted drivers with their texting, if I'm going with the flow of traffic, at least I'm not being rear-ended and whiplashed by some moron on a text. So I feel safer going with the flow of traffic than being the slow guy on the road and getting rear-ended.
The premise is that speed limits are important to safety, and red lights are important to safety. So these cameras are there to enhance safety. Do they work? Yes.
Yes.
Do they collect money? Of course.
Well, they're cash cows, for sure.
No, but the thing is, it's not a cash cow. It's you're authorized to speed, but pay the fine. It's not like somebody's stopping you and holding you up on the side of the road for half an hour and finding out that your headlights aren't working or doing an inspection or making you late for work. It's like,
but
hey,
you have the other issue.
You were speeding. There's no insurance bump.
Now you got a posted speed limit.
No, but there's no insurance bump.
No, let's say there's a posted speed limit. The police do not ticket anybody that's going 10 kilometers or less over the posted speed limit. So what is the real speed limit? And that's one of the contentions I have. If you're not being pulled over and you're speeding 10 kilometer over, you're pushing the limits. And you're forcing traffic to have to go faster than the maximum speed limit on that road. And that posted limit is the maximum on that road. So if you really truly want to deal with speed as a safety issue, anybody doing 3 or 4 or 5 kilometers over should be ticketed. And that becomes more important to me.
I think what they do is they say 100 kilometers an hour standard for this particular type of highway. If you do 110, who cares, right? But
that's the part of the attitude that gives the latitude to speed, and that's not appropriate.
No, but you're talking about the margin of the error of the instrument. That's within the margin of the error of the instrument.
It's 10 kilometers an hour because they allow up to 10 kilometers an hour over the speed limit. So
but let me tell you where I think the cash cow is. They have a provincial victim component, so so 60 fucking bucks for the victim surcharge. So now, okay, I'm there was no victim because
Well, no, you're the victim. You're paying out
yeah,
of pocket because you were
yeah.
delinquent on watching
Okay,
your odometer.
no, it was a red light, but
Oh, red light.
where
You didn't see it. The sun was in your eyes.
no, I wanted to get ahead of the asshole that was in front of me. That's
Well,
it's
then you
my
were
fault.
speeding too,
Yeah,
weren't you?
no, it's my fault. Okay,
Yeah.
so
Okay.
but yeah, here's the issue, right?
Yeah.
Who's the victim, and where does the victim surcharge go to? Is there
General
a cost?
revenue and goes to paying the higher wages for the minister of highways to get a better pension and pay for coffee and milkshakes for his buddies when he takes them out to lunch or steak and lobster.
Okay, so the vehicle is halfway through the intersection, and the light had been red for 1.1 second.
Well, you just don't have fast enough reflexes. That tennis game of yours must be slowing down. And that's the other issue is not all red light issues are related to going through the red light. I have many times gone through a red light because I have an issue off to the side. I glance and the light changes and I have no time to react because it takes 3 seconds to make a decision. Are you better to lock your brakes up and end up stranded in the middle of the intersection? Or do you just go through? And these are real issues because I was in an accident where a lady stopped in the middle of the red light because she wasn't going to go through the red light. Well, had she gone through the red light, I wouldn't be injured. And that's how important it is that there is some latitude in the ability of safe driving, and lights don't always respond to the way you can react with your vehicle. So sometimes there's discretionary actions on the road that allow you to drive safer, and running a red light happens to be one of them in certain cases. So that's my contention.
I just paid the fine. You know, if you do the
wouldn't-
crime, pay the fine. You know,
Yeah, but I mean, it's a matter of what happened 3 seconds, 4 seconds before that determined what your actions are. Now, you're admitting guilt, but I have gone through yellow lights that turned red because of the timing, and I looked for other danger that was close and present to me. Somebody behind me tailgate me, or somebody distracted me off to the side, and I'm not always watching that camera. I've got to watch my odometer, my camera, my side lights, my rear view mirror. Everything has to be watched. And because of the timing and the speed you're doing, you may not be able to react. And your best action is to actually go through the yellow light, red light, and go. It's a safer move.
And take the fine.
If I lock my brakes up and there's somebody behind me, they're running right into my ass end. And I'm not at fault, but I get injured. And is that safer than me just saying, hey, that guy's driving too close. If I lock my brakes up, I better just go through the red light. So there are cases where this law doesn't really work. It works in most cases, but it is traffic flow. And that's why I like circles instead of lights.
I know of a guy that went through a school zone at 95K.
Holy
Now,
shit, that's dangerous.
Yeah, it's considered dangerous driving.
Yes.
And he did it twice in 2 weeks.
Holy shit. He didn't get his license pulled?
And, I assure you he's not doing it again. But not at that school anyways. But the thing but the thing is,
province, maybe he had to move out of the province.
How many other people have they caught going through schoolyards at high speeds? Like you have to do something. And if you put an officer on the road, the officer is endangering his life and causing more, issues with the traffic. Then
not really
the
if
camera
it's done properly. But the problem is they have really traffic cops may not be the best trained people out there, and that's I think another issue.
What they should do is, especially on a place like the 401 at night, when you can at least drive the speed limit, is put up cones with cameras in them. And these guys are doing 200K, and the police can't catch them because if they chase them, they create more of a hazard than if they just if they just let them go. And it's so much easier to take a picture, send them the picture, and send them the bill, and
Yeah,
they
but
can cry
the
all.
other issue is we've got these officers that are making $60,000 to $80,000 or more with perks and pensions and all this. They're just having them present, let's say at a school zone, lowers the speed limit because people see them and slow down. Whereas if they don't see the camera, doesn't slow them down. So
They
there
will.
are
It will when they
issues
get the ticket in the mail.
well, yes, but the point is that we can create more jobs for these officers that are paying for their wages by getting them out and
That's
doing
all we need.
tickets.
That's all we need. More cops at the Tim Hortons. Like,
Yes,
yeah,
but that does work. I mean, it's proven to work. So sometimes the cash cow camera isn't viable, but people don't want to work for their money. So there's the difference. I mean, and it's a systemic issue within the law system that you give a camera ticket, there's really no ability to challenge it because you have no evidence, you got no witnesses, you got nothing because you don't get the ticket in the mail for a week. So you've lost all your evidence to say, hey, see, I got a dash cam, see that person distracted me on the side. She was in a nice bikini off to the side. She distracted me while I looked to see if she was going to cross the road.
Corey, I don't know. I don't know where. I don't know where you're driving, but in any event, it says an owner may commence an appeal of this penalty order no later than 30 days after the penalty order is deemed to have been served on the owner.
Right.
For information on the how to commence an appeal, look at the next page.
Yeah, but by the time I would get that, my camera is already loaded up, and it would automatically erase the footage from that timeline because there's only a limited number of film that's allowed to be recorded on my dash cam. So I would lose the opportunity to defend myself, saying, "Damn, what were you do? She was distracting me." And there's a law, that if somebody's off to the side and distracted you, well, a girl in a bikini and I ran a red light, she should be at fault. She shouldn't have wore that bikini on the street corner. I'm a male. I'm going to look at it.
Well, just don't
Through
stop.
the red light.
Don't stop. You'll get charged with soliciting. But
Yeah,
anyways,
exactly.
they issued the ticket on the the date of issue was the 14th. The date of deemed service was the 21st. So
that's a lot of information lost.
That's pretty quick.
Well,
I'm shocked at the efficiency.
They should have to have your email address and give it to you within minutes. Everybody has a driver's license. Put your email address on your driver's license, and that ticket should be there in time for you to gather a defense in case it was a significant ticket and you had legitimate reason to contest it.
And then you'd be whining about spam from the government.
Well, don't allow them to spam you and tell the government they're not allowed hackers to get your email address.
They have your email address. Can you imagine the garbage you would get from every department? And Rob Ford can legislate
that they can only give you a ticket sent out on your driver's license.
Rob Ford would be inviting you to his next barbecue where he's giving away some Greenbelt
$1 beer. Hey, maybe free beer. I might get free beer from Rob Ford. But more reason now to have your email on your driver's license, then you get instant service, and that would mean my Charter of Rights and Freedom to defend myself aren't being negated by time delay. So yes, works pretty good. I like it, but so yeah, in Calgary they took the cash cameras away. Smith, our Premier Smith, stopped cash cow cameras at intersections and stuff like that. And lo and behold, there was a bill to the provincial government for tax collection of property taxes for the province, and the city sent them a $10 million bill to the province, and the province doesn't want to pay it, so a couple of weeks later, reinstated cash cow cameras to recoup the tens of millions of dollars lost by the city collecting for the province. So it is a cash cow and lowers the cost of policing, but was it necessary? No. Did it slow down traffic? No. They still caught people speeding excessively all around the city with or without the cameras there.
Perfect. So Premier Doug Ford says it's a tax grab. He says,
Yes.
"Get rid of the speed cameras, or I'm going to do it." He says. Now, yeah, I'm still waiting for the dollar beer,
Okay,
Doug,
well, let's
Rob.
talk money. I mean,
You
a
know,
dollar beer, okay? To Rob Ford, he's pretty rich. What's a
I don't know
dollar
why.
beer? He could pay $100 for a beer. Wouldn't affect his finances. Now,
And
when
it's
we
not
start
Rob.
looking at,
It's Doug.
the cost of a ticket and the deterrent issue of a ticket. A guy that makes $1,000 a day, what's a $50 ticket for speeding, and he doesn't get any demerits or increase to his insurance? He just speeds all the time. Well,
$328.25, Corey.
so that's nothing to a rich guy.
Yeah.
I was late. There's $300. Fuck, it ain't even an hour's wage for me.
So let's
There's
collect
no
it.
deterrent for him. He's going to be speeding, and you're
So let's
probably going
collect
to pretend he's the rabbit and follow him behind him. But he
Let's
can write
collect it.
that ticket off. Might be
Perfect.
a company car, so he writes the ticket
let's-
off
so-
to his
So
corporation.
let's collect it.
Over in Europe, they have a law that says it's based on your fucking income. So a guy makes $100,000 a week, he gets a $100,000 ticket for that same traffic violation. So with the traffic violations being set at an arbitrary rate, the only people being hurt by it are the poor people. So yeah, poor people, older cars, driving slow. Your Jaguars, all these rich people that are burning up the streets, it's no harm to them to get a photo radar ticket. It's just a expensive driving, and some of them even get to write it off through their businesses. So that's the difference of the taxation system. And if it's not a cash cow, then you would have proportionate ticketing, which means you would have a percentage of your income being the price of the ticket. Why should I, on a limited income of, a senior's pension, pay the same $300 to me or to you is a hell of a lot more than somebody making, $1 million a year? That's not even a drop in the bucket for them. So proportional tickets, and that solves the problem. And then I'm not as pissed off because $300 ticket is 3 days' wages, not half of an hour for a millionaire. So there is a big difference, and that makes a huge difference on the Charter of Rights. I'm not being treated the same as a wealthy person before the law, and that's infringing on my rights as a person. So yes, there is the issue that these tickets have to be proportioned to your income. That was my point.
Well, apparently the public opinion polls in Canada show strong support for income-based fines for traffic violations. Finland's
great
model,
over in Europe.
Well, Finland's model has caused one prominent Nokia executive paying $103,000 in fines.
I bet he
So-
don't speed now either.
Well, how the
And
question?
if it had only been a $30 or $300 fine, he'd have just went off. Fuck, that's nothing. That's nothing.
But the question then becomes one of, you take a picture of the car. What is the car's income?
Well, if it's a business vehicle, it obviously has an income.
So how do you figure that out? Like it so
well,
you have
you
a
bill the owner of the car, whoever paid
Okay,
for the car.
so you now have to link the federal tax system with the provincial driving system.
Well, they do anyway. It's provincial registration of your cars, not
Yes.
federal registration of your cars.
But you pay federal income tax.
Well,
So the provincial computers would have to have access to the federal tax information in order to do this. Now,
they do, because you have provincial taxes anyway, so they're linked. You pay provincial tax on your revenue, same as you pay federal tax. There's a provincial component to your taxation. So the province already knows what you make.
CRA does. Canadian Revenue Agency does.
Yeah, but they send the money owed to the province on your behalf. So
I think in a country like Finland or Switzerland, it's a lot easier than when you have a country like Canada that has
well, it's pretty
provincial
easy
and
to
federal.
do. It's pretty easy to do. link to stupid things and you're done. It's not nuclear science. It's what's the better good. Equal representation before the law, meaning I get the same amount of penalty as a rich guy, or the rich guy gets a slap on the wrist and I have to pay a week's wages for the same violation of a safety issue that's trying to control traffic. That's not fair to me. He isn't deterred at all. He just keeps driving the same way. Who gives a shit? You see it all the time around Calgary. There's lots of millionaires. They just drive speed. They don't care. Flashing light, they just laugh and smile and wave as they pass you, because it just goes to their expense account to being in a hurry to get from point A to B. And it's not hurting them, because multimillionaires, that's just the cost of driving. And they're driving $300,000 vehicles, so it's just the cost of being on the road to them. They don't care. It's not a big deal. And
So
that's the problem.
So if you have a high income husband or wife, and then you have a non-working spouse, you buy the car in the name of the non-working spouse, and she has no
Don't tell
income, or he
people how
has
to
no.
get around the law we're trying to get the government to enforce.
Yeah.
There'll always be ways around the laws, but yeah, I mean, if I made a couple $100 million a year, heck, I'm speeding through all those photo radar. I ain't slowing down. It's a tap in the bucket. Why should they get the privilege and not me? And if I was that multi-million-dollar guy, I wouldn't be sitting here telling you to put it so that it's equal pay for equal crime, the same impact, same punishment. No, I'd be going, no, that's not fair to me. I should get a $300 ticket the same as Robert gets a ticket, or Cal gets a ticket, or anybody gets a ticket, right?
What if I spent the $300 on a corporation that pays no tax, and all it does is own my vehicles, and I go
Then
through
they come and
stoplights
seize
and
your vehicle.
well, I don't know what they do after that. But the thing is, how are they going to enforce the ticket?
I know, because that's what I used to do when I was in business. I'd put a numbered company together, put my vehicles, register them in the numbered company. You were allowed to register them for 2 years, but now they've made it so that a corporation has to register every year. So you have to reincorporate a company every year to re-register your vehicle when you accumulate the tickets under it. So yeah, there are ways around it, but the rich have all the ways around. Us poor people don't really get the ability to manipulate too much. But you can get around tickets. So that's my point. Is the rich still benefit from the penalties, and it's not a deterrent to the wealthy, and they're going to continue their bad driving habits because they're entitled on the road, and that's our government allowing the entitlement to speed by not making the penalties represent equal punishment for the crimes to everyone else, and the rich benefit from that. So that's my point. Cash cow, thumbs down. I think it is a cash cow, and it affects me more than it affects a wealthy person, so it shouldn't be allowed until it's equal punishment for equal crime and equal deterrent. What do you say, $300 broker?
We need more cameras to slow people down.
Well,
Either
it's
that
not
or
going to slow
abolish.
the rich down. It's not going to. That's my point. It's not. The more cameras, it ain't going to slow the rich down. They're just going to pay more. That's all, and they take a tax write-off if they set it up through a company. So it's not any benefit to you or me. The rich guy gets free reign of the road.
I would take it even further. If you have kids, and the kids are driving the cars and not obeying the law, after a certain number of violations, you just pick up the car, impound the
Well,
car.
there you go. That would even be
Because
benefit.
apparently it's the car that's the hazard, right? So
Right.
just impound the car, and people would learn in a hurry that it wasn't a good idea to accumulate a whole whack
it
of
is a
tickets.
weapon. I mean, the car is a weapon. Yeah. It kills more people than guns do in Canada. In the U.S., I'm not sure which kills more, guns or cars, but it is a weapon in the wrong usage. I mean, look at people use vehicles to smash through windows for robberies. Apparently, there's a lot of that going on in Ontario right now. So they are weapons. A vehicle is a weapon. And if it's used as a weapon, it should be seized because it is a weapon. And that's where, you know, if you're continually doing the violations, yes, I would recommend that there be a law that vehicles be seized and taken off the road that are dangerous weapons on the road. So
I'm gonna have to cut you off. I gotta run.
okay, take care.
Yeah,
Good
watch
debate.
out for the speed cameras.
Yeah, okay, you take care. Bye.
Bye.
Subscribe to the channel, give us a like, and please share the video. Don't be afraid to share this commercial with your friends too.